Welcome to another video of our van build series. In the previous video I covered the 12 volt DC wiring. In this video I will continue with the coverage of the 240 volt AC wiring. For the 240 volt I have mains power coming into a protection circuit breaker and then to an inverter charger unit, which both charges the battery from the mains and distributes power out to my 240 volt sockets. As you can see here, the 240 volt system comprises of a mains power inlet which runs through an RCD before connecting to my charger inverter. Because I plan to use an induction cooktop and other high powered devices such as a hairdryer, toaster, sandwich maker and even a microwave, I needed a pretty hefty inverter. You need to remember that 240 volt AC and 12 volt DC use vastly different amperage when it comes to the amount of power being drawn. That is, despite the cooktop using 6.7 amps at 1600 watts, this gets converted to a whopping 133 amps being drawn from the battery when not on main supply. Being on main supply, the 12 volt DC side is bypassed, which means I can run the cooker at its maximum 2000 watts. I can't do that on the 12 volt system as the protection relay trips, preventing any damage to the converter. Lastly, as I've mentioned, I have protection breakers for various parts of the system that also serve to isolate components. The GPOs are double pole, switched on both the active and the neutral, and are required by law for vans. House circuits are typically single pole, switched just on the active, meaning there can still be power on the neutral line even when switched off. This is primarily because, unlike a house, you don't know what you are connecting to at a campsite. That is, for all you know, the active and neutral could be reversed, and AC being bi-directional, everything still works, but using a single pole switch means you could still have active power on your circuit, potentially resulting in death if you expose yourself to a live wire. Double pole switching means there is nothing coming out of that switch. Now, it is not illegal in Australia to do your own 240 volt wiring. What is illegal, however, is to connect it to a 240 volt source if you're not a licensed electrician. I did my own wiring, but I had an electrician sign off the work I did. They have all the gear to properly test the wiring, including the RCDs. In fact, the electrician picked up an issue I was unaware of, which could have been a potential hazard if I had let it go. Note that any 240 volt installation needs to be certified before you can register your van as a camper van. Taking photos of the work also helps get it through the certification process. When doing your own wiring, it is important to check that you have a good earth connection to the van from all GPOs, and if a GPO is switched off, there should be nothing coming out of the other side. You can use a multimeter's continuity test to check for this. If you don't know what a continuity check is, then you shouldn't be doing the wiring yourself. Simple. Bottom line is, get an electrician for anything that is 240 volt, don't take any chances. Because the van is mostly in motion, meaning it vibrates, flexes and so on, all 240 volt cabling needs to run through conduit so that it can't come to contact with sharp edges like the steel frame of the van. Also, normal household wiring is not suitable as it's not designed to be constantly jiggling around when on the move. I used heavy duty flex cable similar to extension leads but with a thicker outer insulation layer. Because of the thicker insulation, it is a bit stiffer and can be difficult getting it to bend as you would like, so it can be a little hard to work with compared to 12 volt wiring. Be prepared for some grunting, but overall it's not a difficult task wiring the van. Lastly, plan your wiring layout. You might find that later on it might be impossible for you to add, for instance, another GPO in a place you hadn't thought of.
Cut a lot of hole. That's all the hole you cut.
Oh, and there's another one that we've just got to be done, that's it. That's a small one. I won't do that until I know where the stuff's going to go.
Well, what's that hole for?
The solar panels.
Oh.
I can't do that yet.
Until you get solar panels?
Well, not until I know. Well, not really. Not until I get the awning. I don't know I don't know where solar panels can go.
Well, I need to put a mark around there.
this is not. This is sticky to collect all the metal filing to it, so that's all down inside there.
Ah. This one we keep. Huh? Really?
Hope you enjoyed that. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. You should also check out our previous video. For more detailed information on a 240 volt installation, I recommend to check out Jazz Morton's video, links below. In the next video, I'll be installing the headliner shelf. Be sure to check that one out. Bye for now.